Um, yes. Good morning, everyone, and very warm welcome to this last day of this training camp. I hope you have been enjoying the trainings sessions that we have been providing. Um, Today, we are going to talk right now about the DIHs and the role that they play in IFOTrust, as well as IFOTrust as a community, how we see that IFOTrust as a community will survive even beyond the scope of this program. I'm joined by Juanjo from FIWARE, of course, and we together will talk about the topic. Of course, this is not the last session. The last session happens at the afternoon, where we cover in more detail about the reference example demonstrating the use of IFOTrust building blocks. So don't forget to tune in then as well. Okay, let's begin. This session is important specifically for DIHs, but also in general for everyone who is part of IFOTrust community. There are certain elements that we also see additionally for DIHs. Let's start with that. Sorry. So let's start with the journey of DIH and IFOTrust as we see it, and the whole IFOTrust community. So a recap from the intro session, as we have already mentioned, that IFOTrust is not just a program, but it is also a community in our view. And it is a multifaceted community. On one hand, you have the experts from FIWARE and iSHARE, providing all the technical expertise in terms of creation of data spaces. On the other hand, we are working with you guys, supporting you in bringing up experiments and solutions to the market in the forms of data spaces, so that you can use the technology, proven technology, and the framework in order to create the first data spaces in Europe and be the front runner in that sense. But also as community, continue to sustain that. And for that, of course, we have also the community platform and community management, where also our other partner Funding Box is providing that platform. And I believe you are already enrolled to that community platform. And another key aspect in running the IFOTrust community is, of course, the DIHs, the digital innovation hubs, which are locally present across Europe and associated countries. We expect that you understand in detail IFOTrust, what IFOTrust is about, and with the known benefits that IFOTrust framework and building blocks provides, you are in a position to use that and support the local SMEs in your own countries. So in that sense, how we see overall journey for DIHs is basically you discover what is IFOTrust. So we have been in touch in the initial phase when you want to understand what is IFOTrust. Some of you are in that phase and discovering more about IFOTrust, but some of you are already advanced at stage because you very well know what is IFOTrust. And then follows the process of joining, so taking part in the community of IFOTrust, going through the connecting with each other and forming together the IFOTrust community. Learn. So this training session is part of learning. One of the ways to learn, but other way that we see is by participating along with the experiments and learning on while supporting the SMEs in their journey towards creation of data spaces. You also act as you also disseminate the understanding of IFOTrust within your networks, so that participants the SMEs can take benefit of iFor Trust, the values and the benefits that iFor Trust building blocks brings to them. Of course, you also participate along with them and via the open calls. So many of you are also participating with those SMEs under the calls and working alongside to them. But we expect you to have two-faceted role, in that sense that on one hand you learn and understand the iFor Trust, and second you support the SMEs you are working with, and act as an intermediary between the iFor Trust core partners and SMEs in their journey in iFor Trust. And that is the support part, of course. And not only that, but you will also see later an explanation from Juanjo about the multi-tier support system that we envision and we have formalized, where you play a key role in order to support not only the experiments that you are participating together with, but also other SMEs via different means, and some of the options that we think we will provide as well. And that is how we see that in the end we will sustain this community also beyond the scope of this project, right? So I briefly explained the role, but let's also these bullet points are basically talking about more or less the same. That is what we expect from you. That is, you bring the understanding of the ecosystems of SMEs in your network, and you understand their needs, and you try to find the right solution for them by understanding what iFor Trust brings as a value to them. And so you act sort of as a bridge between the iFor Trust core partners and the SMEs. You are very closer to the SMEs, especially also bring the domain knowledge, because you are anyways closely working with them, and you know the challenges better that these SMEs face, and that helps you. That gives you a unique position, that you are in a position to help those SMEs in much better way, and know what will work better for them. And with the training on iFor Trust and getting yourself as an expert via the certification process, you also understand what iFor Trust can potentially do for those SMEs and how to solve those challenges, right? And so one, of course, as I said, this training program is designed to upgrade your skills in terms of what iFor Trust is, but also while participating and learning by doing. So together with them in the experiments, you learn in depth about how iFor Trust building blocks are implemented, or how they can be implemented, for example. And of course, as I said, more details about multi-tier support system will be explained in a bit. But you act as the tier level 1 and 2 in our multi-tier support system of iFor Trust. And last but not least, you are the key element in iFor Trust community to keep the community alive, right? So how do you achieve that? And for that, we ask you to have one or two people with specific backgrounds acting as iFor Trust ambassador, one, and second as LEBDS or iFor Trust experts. So who is an iFor Trust ambassador is basically a more business oriented person. So this person doesn't necessarily need to be a technical person. Of course it can be, but the idea is that you are connected to your network, and on a business level, and you understand their pain at the business level, and you see a fit in by understanding of what iFor Trust can potentially bring, and you try to find that match between the issues or challenges that your SMEs are facing versus what iFor Trust can bring, and help them solve or create a solution based on iFor Trust. So you act as, in that sense, iFor Trust ambassadors by spreading the word and being an influencer in order to attract new participants in the community, right? The other key profile that we say is LEBDS, a funny acronym, but LEBDS stands for Local Experts in Business-to-Business Data Sharing. And well, essentially, this person is more of a technical profile. You can see on the screen right now what the profile we expect a person to have, with some knowledge in some of the technologies that would be really helpful for this person to quickly become an iForTrust expert. But the idea is that this is more of a technical person who knows all the technical aspects of iForTrust and is able to support SMEs in the projects where you are participating, but also as a DIH, you are in a position to support more and more SMEs within your own network as well, with the use of this understanding. Again, as I said, it can be one person that is acting as both ambassador and LEBDS, or it can be two separate persons or even more persons. The training and the certification is all free of cost. There is no cost involved in becoming certified. So you can nominate as many people as you like to get the expertise or certifications, basically. In general, with these two people at least, or these two roles, it can be the same people. What we see is we have this community of practice, and your role within this community is basically you act as your DIH's contact point for iForTrust related matters. You support in the experiments with iForTrust framework. You work hand in hand with the SMEs because you know them better, you know their business better, and you are already in conversations with them even before iForTrust. So just using iForTrust as building blocks to come up with a solution which is much more relevant for SMEs. And well, you also learn by doing, sort of, because we, of course, we know that we provide training, but of course, training itself is not always sufficient, and you also need to see the framework and the building blocks in practice in order to get better understanding. So you participate in this open calls along with SMEs, and you get the better understanding by practicing it. We expect you to provide the support on tier 1 and tier 2 level, and as well as on the business level. That is what we see as a role for these two roles, basically. And a high level overview of multi-tier support system, where you see that how we expect your engagement. I will not explain this slide because you have a dedicated part of multi-tier support explanation following up in a bit. But essentially, we see this as a 4-tier system. Tier 0 being self-help, and tier 1 and 2 is where we expect DIHs to play the role, and tier 3 is basically us providing the last support or the total expertise in iForTrust building blocks. And with that, I pass on mic to Juanjo to continue with the next part of the presentation.
Thank you, Rajiv. Perhaps it's better if I share the screen. Give me a second to share the screen. I suppose you are seeing my screen now.
Yes.
By the way, regarding the multi-tiered support, it will be Dennis who will make that part of the presentation. But I will focus on the iForTrust Ambassador program. Rajiv has already introduced the role of ambassadors within a given DIH. But as such, the notion of ambassador also applies to the DIH as such, because DIH, in our vision, play a cornerstone role in dissemination of iFor Trust and expansion of the technology adoption, not only within the experiments that have been funded through the different open calls that iFor Trust has launched, but even going beyond. Think about potential projects that may emerge under the umbrella of the Digital Europe program, or projects also to be incubated within Horizon Europe, or even projects for the market. So we intend that DIHs joining the iFor Trust community become ambassadors. And the ambassador program is not anything else that the kind of program we are putting in place to establish the necessary coordination among iFor Trust core partners, that being FIWARE Foundation, iSHARE Foundation, and Funding Box, with DIHs that have decided to join the iFor Trust community. Again, very important, those DIHs are in the first place DIHs involved in the experiments that have been funded, but maybe other DIHs, and we expect to recruit DIHs beyond those in experiments who feel attracted to the technology and wish to apply and introduce the framework, the iFor Trust framework, in whatever program they may have in place locally, or as I mentioned, as part of projects being funded in any of the existing programs where data spaces are gaining a relevant role. Within this ambassador program, we are going to or intend to design a number of actions devoted to promote iFor Trust as a framework, and also stimulating collaboration with other programs, like programs that may exist within the Digital Europe program in connection to data spaces, or programs under the alliance of the Data Space Business Alliance, to give an example of an alliance with which we may establish a collaboration. And well, this should translate into very concrete actions. Some of them might be promotion actions, actions dealing with communication through webinars, info sessions, of course, quite active presence in social media, and also presence in different trade fairs or big events, either physical or virtual, that may get defined, and where we together, the iFor Trust core partners and DIHs within the program, agree to have a presence, but also activities that may not be that much connected to a communication dissemination, but are still relevant and important in terms of fostering the adoption of iFor Trust. And here I mean development of local trainings, hackathons, other sort of activities, the sharing of tools and best practices among the DIHs. In that sense, towards promotion of iFor Trust would be an element around which actions could be defined. And last but not least, the incubation of projects, because, well, this program may, with the involvement of the different DIHs, could be also a basis for incubation of projects. Now that we have closed the open calls, why not targeting other programs? I4Trust ambassadors obviously are the individuals coming from the DIHs that have joined the I4Trust community who are expected to be more involved in the conversation with I4Trust core partners, but there might be actions, and this is something we have to bear in mind, that may involve the participation of the labs, since they have some sort of technical nature. That could be the example, for instance, of the local trainings or any hackathon that we may decide to set up. What are instruments are in place to support the activities? There is an I4Trust DIH working group space in the I4Trust community platform. That is a working group, a space that where already a number of DIHs were involved, and all of the DIHs now that become part of the experiments mentored through the that were selected through the second open call will be invited to join. And there we expect to run a conversation for the co-creation, co-design of activities. It should be also an opportunity to share best practices. We want ambassadors involved from the DIHs to get engaged in the activities towards social media. We aim in that sense to set up the concept of ambassador accounts for that purpose. There is a communication kit that we will update. We need to update this. That will be available soon at the service of DIHs so that they can use this within their local communities to do any promotion and dissemination connected to I4Trust. And last but not least, it's not a big amount of budget, but there is some budget which will be which we can devote to activities we decide together that make sense. There might be some activities that may be run by specific DIH because we know that the sort of activities of DIHs may have a local meaning, and therefore it could make sense to create somehow local regional actions carried out by specific DIHs, but there might be also other activities that we can design involving together several DIHs. Well, there was a budget available for supporting at least partially some of these activities, which was 30,000 euros, of which already 5,000 euros were used in the first phase of the I4Trust project, but still 25,000 are available. So we should take the most out of it, and DIHs joining the I4Trust Ambassador Program will be invited to make proposals on activities where such funding could be activated. At the end, we want to establish a win-win relationship with all of you DIHs involved in the program. And to mention a bit the win on your side, We intend to give you a lot of visibility in iForTrust channels, not only on social media. In our website, there will be a dedicated page where you as a DIH will be advertised and visible with your logo, with your activities, and somehow positioning you as a front runner player in the data space revolution, where iForTrust is called to play a crucial role. There will be a certain degree of exclusivity for DIHs in what regards some of the community activities that we will run. For instance, maybe connected to training and stuff like that. And last but not least, after all, DIHs involved in the iForTrust community and therefore participating in this program will have the opportunity to become a FIWARE iHub as well as an iSHARE partner. The two following slides elaborate a bit on what that means, becoming a FIWARE iHub, and after all, what you will get very much involved in is in the promotion of a framework that has FIWARE components as part of that, and the labs part of the DIH will become not only iForTrust certified labs, but also by design FIWARE certified experts and also experts in iShare technology. And with this, you will have all the instruments, all the ingredients to actually become a FIWARE iHub and join the network that exists, and about which it's not my intention to go into the details, but we will be sharing with you what it means and what is the opportunity around and the benefits. But one of those benefits is that you will become part of the hubs landscape created for or around the Data Space Business Alliance. The Data Space Business Alliance was, as we explained in the iForTrust introduction section, an alliance that was formed by the Big Data Value Association, by FIWARE Foundation, International Data Spaces, and DIH. All of these organizations have a set of hubs, digital innovation hubs with different names. When we talk about BDVA, we talk about BDVA iSpaces, IDSA hubs, or DIH hubs. In the case of FIWARE iHubs, and by means of joining the network of FIWARE iHub, you would be able to participate into this landscape. And don't forget, we are with iForTrust bringing a framework that will be one of the first implementations of results coming out from the technology convergence alignment that all these four organizations have reached. And so therefore, as DIH's expert and ambassadors of iForTrust, you would be in a privileged position to play a relevant role and gain visibility within this whole network. Well, with this, we move to iForTrust multi-tier support description of activities, and here I will stop because Dennis will take care of that part. So whenever you are ready, Dennis, just go ahead.
Yes, sharing my screen, which you can hopefully see.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm talking now about the multi-tier support program of iForTrust. In general, as you might have already learned, iForTrust is not just a technical framework, but it's also about forming a whole community, which also requires adequate support. And this can be, on the one hand, technical support, so supporting organizations that want to join an iForTrust data space, or they can set up the components to implement iForTrust data spaces, and so on. And on the other hand, this can be also non-technical support. So to support organizations on how actually creating new value out of the sharing of data in data spaces, and how, for instance, how you can define governance of a data space. There can be different target audiences for such support. So this can be organizations that want to operate a data space, or organizations that want to participate in a data space, and of course also other DIHs that might want to join the community. So, and therefore DIHs will play an essential role in this support program, also in order to let the iForTrust community grow and to support the adoption of the different iForTrust components. Because iSHARE and FIWARE alone, we are not enough people, let's say, to handle the support at such scale with all the different organizations participating. And of course, this is also an opportunity for DIHs to get involved in iForTrust and in data spaces. This is an overview of the multi-tier support program. It's separated in 4 different tiers. As you can already see, the DIHs are mostly located in Tier 1 and Tier 2. So Tier 1, Tier 0 is focusing on users itself, so self-help by the users. Tier 1 is a basic help desk resolution. With Tier 2, we have a more in-depth business or technical support, and with the final Tier 3, it's the support by iForTrust experts. Now going through the different tier levels. So Tier 0 is a self-help. There's a lot of material and information available for users so that they can directly get information and support from different sources. This can be the iForTrust website itself. There are several resources linked, like the trainings we are also currently running with all the slides and supporting material. There are FAQ listed resources. There are links to GitHub repositories and so on. In addition, we have the iForTrust help desk space, where people can formulate questions and receive answers. And of course, this can also be reviewed by other users. And there's also a space on Stack Overflow about the FIWARE components, for instance. And of course, if all of this doesn't help, users are able then to formulate a question on the iForTrust help desk space. And whenever they do this, we have a separate driver system where a ticket will be automatically created in order that we can internally keep track on how this question is then handled between the different tier levels. In the end, the communication with the actual users, so which can be SMEs or DIHs, should happen on the help desk space itself. So the driver tickets are rather more for internal monitoring and for actually assigning these tickets. But I come to this later. So maybe it's easier to show you the iForTrust help desk space. Let me go out of the presentation. So probably you already have seen the funding box space for iForTrust. There's a section iForTrust help desk where people can formulate questions. As you can see, there are already plenty of them. Let me show how this works. So when clicking on new, you can define a type. It can be some general question about iForTrust itself. It can be a technical question, which is rather more related on the technical components of iForTrust. And it can be more a question about data spaces in general. So when selecting some category here, You can type some title and then write your text here. It also supports Markdown. And basically that's it. If you hit this publish button, then this question will be visible to everyone. And what will happen is, let me give an example. For instance, here's some question about a problem logging in with an external IDP in the title. This is our Jira instance. So there's a flow now. When a new question is created, to create a new ticket here. And as you can see, it has the same title. We'll find a description here out of the thread in the help desk ticket. And then there's also information below about who asked this question, the type, when this question was raised, and the actual URL with a link to the question on the funding box page, which brings you directly here to this funding box page. And this Jira, it allows now to assign tickets and also to mark the progress, start the progress or mark it as done, so that we have an internal monitoring of the tickets and also know who is actually currently working on it. Okay, I get back to the, wrong button, back to the slides. So basically that's what I've shown. So of course, goal for this Jira usage is, as I said, the monitoring, and also to being able to report on the handling of tickets, having the different type of reports. Also, Jira is providing already out of the box. Some notes regarding Jira. So the plan is that each DIH will be assigned a user account in this Jira project of iForTrust. For this, we kindly ask you to provide a contact mail for registration. So we will create accounts where you have some DIH ID and help desk as a naming, where tickets can be assigned to an DIH as a whole, and then DIHs still can further assign to particular persons to work on these tickets. As I said, the ticket will be automatically created whenever request is formulated on the helpdesk space. And as you've seen, there's also then the link to the helpdesk platform. So when we assign a ticket, there will be, of course, an information mail sent by Jira. But one notice, we still don't have a bidirectional communication between Jira and the iForTrust helpdesk platform. And also there are no updates coming out of the helpdesk platform, so it's just initially creates tickets. So therefore, any communication and responses done to these questions and communication with the users raising the questions should be always given on the iForTrust helpdesk platform. So not putting answers into the Jira tickets, because this will not be transferred back to the helpdesk. And of course, as soon as a question is solved on the helpdesk thread, tickets on Jira can be closed. So continuing now with the different tiers. So the tier 1 is about more basic help resolution, some kind of help desk agents. These requests that arrive through the help desk can be at any time self-assigned by the DIHs. So they can directly connect with the given organization which is raising the question. At this basic tier level, it's more about maybe following standard procedures, so checking whether maybe there's already an answer, some part of a published FAQ, or there's maybe it's already some resource, some information. We have on GitHub, we have several tutorials, for instance. And if this doesn't help, then it's rather more about forwarding the request to the next tier to have a more in-depth look about the question. If such requests do not get assigned after some time, we will self-assign them from the iForTrust core partners. Yeah, that's about tier 1. Tier 2, that's a more in-depth technical support and also allows for business support. So we have 2 types. Now, mostly that ambassadors, as introduced before, would more focus on this tier on the business-oriented questions, and the labs on the technical-oriented ones. Still, also here, people at the tier 2 level can directly self-assign the requests. If at this stage they seem not to be able to handle the requests or are not able to solve it, these tickets can be assigned to iForTrust core partners, which then will be addressed to a certain iForTrust expert, and that's actually the tier 3 level. So tier 3 level, of course, also can directly already self-assign questions if we see, okay, this is a rather complicated thing which directly needs an expert on it. And then experts from the core partners will deal with these questions. This might also result in that users may be requested to formulate their question on Stack Overflow, when it's about FIWARE components, for instance, or tickets may be even forwarded to the FIWARE technical help desk. Okay, that's from my side. I will stop sharing and please continue.
Yes, thank you, Juanjo and Dennis. I will continue with the remaining slides. Let me share my screen again. Yes. So I hope now it's clear for everyone about the multi-tier support system and their role within the iForTrust community. One other aspect of our DIHs that we see, of course, is the most important one, is also to support the experiments. And let's quickly go through your role within that. But first, let me explain to you how we see the journey of SMEs in iForTrust. And I think you will share this sort of journey view with your other SMEs who are with whom you are not participating in experiments but would like to still support them outside the program of iForTrust as well. So in general, the journey is basically again discover. So SMEs discover via various means, also with via the ambassadors and experts from iForTrust, from DIHs, about iForTrust and the value that it can potentially bring in order to help them resolve the challenges that they are facing or improve their business opportunities by means of additional data sharing. And then, of course, participate in various ways, either with like in the open calls that we have been doing, but also other opportunities as has been shared and will be shared in future as well. And of course, with DIHs, you are involved in a lot of such initiatives, and you can encourage more participation from SMEs. Where relevant calls allow you to also explore iForTrust building blocks. Once the participation is encouraged and it is concluded, then you begin the journey of implementation. In the implementation phase, basically you support with your experts in detail to the SMEs in order to define the architecture and solution, and also help them in the implementation of the technical components with the use of iForTrust open source components that we have been providing. And with that, the SMEs also sustain their solutions for a longer for longer period or forever. Basically, with the use of proven IFA Trust components that work very well, and that they bring innovative solutions to the market. And within the scope of this call, of course, what we do is we go through mentoring program together under IFA Trust, which we are currently in the second round. I already explained mentoring program on Monday, or sorry, on the first day last week. But a brief recap of on mentoring program is it is basically it has three major stages: the onboarding stage, use case planning, and proof of concept. And these phases is where on one hand we expect the experiments to focus on scoping and solution design, followed by implementation plans and use case definition and prototypes. After that, followed by the MVP. There is an aftercare phase, which is not in the scope of IFA Trust mentoring program. However, this is basically the next steps in order to move your proven solution to production. If you have not already moved it in the mentoring program, then you may further require some assistance or support. Then aftercare is more about that. And during these various stages, we provide with various support from IFA Trust core partners, specifically also the boot camps like cross value chain boot camps and fundraising boot camps, which also helps you to expand your network and also share your potential solution with other organizations, which may find synergies with you, and you open up more opportunities from that. It's a 9-month customized program where we support you with the implementation, upgrade of the skills, provide you with IFA Trust building blocks and the framework. It covers various aspects, not only technical but also legal, operational, and business aspects, and of course with the funding that you already are aware of. Under this program, we provide you with the mentors, and these mentors basically come from iSHARE, FIWARE, and Funding Box, basically all three partners. You have 3 mentors, primary and secondary, and business mentors basically, and these act as your primary contact points for any tasks related within this mentoring program. And you have a regular touch point with them, and they provide you, they are the bridge between you and the experts basically on various topics. When you need certain help on specific topic, you can reach out to your mentors so that they can arrange for necessary support. There are various ways in which you can ask support from your mentors, and on the right side you see a toolkit. Basically, this is of course not an exhaustive list, but to give you an idea that these kind of meetings or workshops is what you can request from your mentors, and they can arrange for that with specific topic experts from our pool of experts to help you in furthering your journey within IFA Trust, right? Some examples are one-on-one sessions with technical experts, architecture meetings, business model meetings, ethical support, synergy and sustainability meetings, and likewise. We also we also follow in the mentoring program and individual mentoring plans. It is, as we said, it's a tailored made program for all experiments. This can act as so in the mentoring program we follow this planning, the guide basically, and all the experiments that are currently participating are working on updating their first version of IMP. Of course, this has also been explained on the mentoring plenary session during the first day of this event. And Basically, this can also act as sort of a rule book for supporting your SMEs as DIHs. You can use this as a reference template in future as well for supporting the SMEs who would implement solutions using iFortrust building blocks. Last but not least, additionally, what we have is frequently asked questions available to you, where we collate over a period of time that what general questions we have been receiving and general answers that are available via the community platform and also via the iFortrust website. And the topics included in FAQs range from general topics, as in the relevance of iFortrust and other things, to very, very technical questions that a lot of organizations face, and they ask these questions on forum, as already explained by Dennis. And the ones we find that are commonly asked are added into frequently asked questions list with appropriate answers, so that you have readily available help, as in self-help for a lot of organizations. And not only FAQ, but we provide with a lot of resources also for DIHs. The most important resource for DIH is that you should have received already an DIH onboarding kit. This is a document where we list down all the explanation about the role of DIH and the support materials and various other aspects that we envision for DIHs in iFortrust. So if you are a DIH, please make sure that you have received your copy. If not, then please reach out to us, and we can share this copy with you. I think this is also published on iFortrust website, so you can also find it from there. You see the first link here. But this is a guide that is always available to you, and this acts as your onboarding kit. Various other resources are mentioned here. Also make sure as a DIH you join this DIH working group that is in the community spaces, as already explained. And there are other materials which help you in understanding iFortrust better and supporting SMEs in their iFortrust journeys. And with that, I would open up the floor for questions. I hope you enjoyed the learning.
One, if you allow me, Rajiv, one
Yes.
question I want to reinforce while questions arrive is one of the reasons why DIHs were involved in the experiments as requirement in for the consortiums is that we want DIHs to get on board of the iFortrust community, to understand what would mean bringing support, and of course being able to train that support in the context of the experiments they are involved in. But the ambition is larger. The ambition is that the DIHs become part of the community and help the iFortrust community to expand. I hope that the hints that we have been sharing with you today may have helped to explain what is this vision about larger engagement of DIHs as part of the iFortrust community.
Okay, thanks, Juanjo. I still don't see any questions yet. Let's go wait for another minute or so. You can also raise your hand if you would like.
Okay, sounds like questions were enough clear. So I guess we may close the session.
Yeah.
Rajiv, if you want to also add some words.
Yeah, no, of course, if you have questions, you know where to reach us. So just feel free to reach to us via various channels. And don't forget to tune into the last session later today to understand how IFOTrust, well, with an example, how to see IFOTrust building blocks in action. And also iSHARE deep dive, by the way. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.